God, stop it. Stop. This is so gross. I hate this. I hate this so much.
Oh,
why is Nick's uvula like come to a point? Why is it like an arrow pointing down? It's like telling all the food to go flying down his throat. This is so gross, guys.
Mine looks like a pair of testicles. So
mine looks like a stalactite.
Oh, stop.
Oh, it curved. It curves to the side. It looks like it's like your uvula is a mini tongue inside your mouth.
All right, and welcome to episode 6 of Drunken Jurors, presented by You Hate to See It. On episode 6, is this 5?
This is 5.
5? You sure?
Yeah, because episode 4 is what's out right now.
Can we skip 5? I feel like I've gone too deep.
I say we can skip everything.
Let's just not even do episode numbers. Welcome to the new episode.
No.
Oh.
Fine. Next week we'll start on episode 12 and then we'll just skip around from there. Welcome to episode 420 of Drunken Jurors. No one liked the 420 joke. I thought that was fucking hilarious, but yeah, presented by You Hate to See It. Apparently everyone's lame as shit. Doesn't like my jokes. I'm Jeff.
I'm Adam.
I don't know what humor is.
And obviously
I'm Nick,
that's
I barely know my own name. So.
Buddy, you didn't even have to say your name. When you said you don't know humor, everyone immediately knew it was you. Even though you are like the cheapest laugh to buy in a fucking room, so
I buy my own laughs sometimes.
Yeah, you did it for like 5 minutes earlier today.
I think that's how you get inflation.
You fucking weirdo. Buying
your own laughs. Getting high off your own supply. I'm like a drug dealer.
You're obviously horrible if you're getting high off your own supply.
No one said I was making money. I just said I was doing it.
I hate you with a passion. I hated that laugh also. Yeah. Oh, there it is. There he is getting high off his own supply.
Shut up.
Nick, our little quackhead. Fucking piece of shit. All right, what are you guys drinking?
I'm drinking Smirnoff Ice Raspberry and Smirnoff Ice Strawberry because that's what I got left over.
I am drinking a very nice 10-year-old Bullet bourbon. Very nice, courtesy of my boss. Thank you.
I am drinking a very expensive scotch out of this cool glass that Nick got me. And then I'm also just drinking Budweiser. No, it's not in the decanter. The bottle was already open. I didn't want to pour it in the decanter. Also, filling decanters is actually kind of a rough time.
Jeff's going to be our expert on decanter filling.
True. I'll just be the expert on decanters. I'll never buy myself a decanter, but I will be our expert. Nick, what you playing over there?
Taking care of things. I had to pay a bill.
He's taking care of business.
You decided to pay a bill when we started recording a fucking podcast.
What do you want from me?
Nick over here multitasking when he had an hour and a half to fucking get everything ready.
I feel like I'm catching shade right now for no reason.
I'm investing in my stocks.
Yeah, I feel like this is the perfect, are you not supposed to do that?
When you're drinking on your extremely alcoholic podcast.
Yeah, I don't see problems here. God, so fucking mean.
Well,
God.
On the upside, we are recording this on the day before Christmas Eve, but we are recording our fun New Year's fucking episode. This one's fun because it happens literally on New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, so it's a fun one, and it's kind of a conspiracy-ish type one. So,
is it about birds? Did the birds kill them? Didn't they?
No, it's about boats though. A lot of boats in here.
The tides.
The boats. It's always the boats.
Always the boats. Boats aren't real.
What?
Yeah, boats aren't. You silly Jeff. You thought boats were real.
Why?
Nerd.
Yes, I am the nerd.
Fucking idiot. God, can't believe you believe in boats.
Me either. Who would have known? All right, well, you guys ready to get into this?
Si, senor.
Also, there's going to be a lot of things in here that I probably don't know how to pronounce, but we're going to get through it because we are also overseas again.
Ah, perfect.
I mean, as long as it's not Liechtenstein or wherever the fuck that one.
Liechtenstein?
No. We have someone that listens to us in a place that's spelled Leich something.
Liechtenstein.
I don't remember seeing an EIN at the end of it, so I'm gonna look it up now just for you.
All right, well, you do that. I'm going to start this. On the morning of January 1st, 1998, two young New Year's Eve partygoers disappeared. Ben Smart, 21, and Olivia Hope, 17, had attended an all-night party to see in the new year at the Fourneau Lodge. It's that like Cajun type spelling. It's Furneaux.
That's usually pronounced O. That's pronounced
Fourneau.
like an O.
So it's Fourneau.
So yeah, it would be Fourneau.
All right. Well, yeah. So yeah, they attended an all-night party to see in the new year at Fourneau Lodge in Endeavour Inlet in the Marlborough Sounds at the northern point of the South Island of New Zealand.
Ooh.
Adam, did you find the name?
Yeah, Nick was right.
Hence why he wasn't going to say anything.
That's correct.
Hi.
Hate to see it. I think before we go any farther, I need to grab me one of these. Sorry, Jeff's getting a shot bottle of Fireball out of a giant candy cane. If you listeners are listening actually on New Year's Eve, I think we're going to do a shot with you to ring in the new year. Well, why is no one else doing a drink? No one's doing a drinky drink.
I mean, I'm doing a drinky drink. I don't have
that's fine.
Shot.
I have individual shot bottles. And I have no other reason to use them. So, cheers, boys.
Ferda.
Scott Watson was 26 at the time. He was a man who grew up with his parents and sister. He loved sailing, much to the reason of his parents, who raised him around sailing, and then in his teenage years ended up living on a boat with them. This drew Scott to his dream, which was to build his own boat, which he accomplished at an early age. In an interview of Scott, he actually talked about how most people who build their own boats spend 20 to 30 years later in life, but then stated that he never understood why they would wait such a long time to finish it when he wanted to use his now. Ben Smart and Olivia Hope partied all day on a boat in the Endeavour Inlet, but once it became evening, the party moved to a bar on the shore called Fourneau Lodge. The bar was packed that night, and the bartenders who end up becoming eyewitnesses in this case remember a creepy man that appeared to be in his 30s sitting at the bar. They said he had medium-length, unkept brown hair and scruffy facial hair. He had been drinking bourbon and cokes and was paying with wads of cash. He was also described to be friendly, but seemed upset.
So my question is, Jeff, why are you in this case right now?
I don't have scruffy, unkept hair, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Close enough.
I do have scruffy facial hair. I've always had scruffy facial hair.
And you sit there drinking bourbon.
This is Scotch. I don't drink bourbon. Nick drinks bourbon.
Hi. Hello.
I drink rye whiskey. And Scotch, apparently, no. If it's extremely expensive. Also, this is all based off of a documentary I watched about this case. It seemed pretty like unbiased, obviously leaning more towards they got the wrong guy, but we'll deal with that later. And we'll definitely get into a discussion about it because it's kind of crazy. There was another witness who saw this man and stated that at one point the man dropped something on purpose just to pick it up, and while doing so to look up ladies' skirts. So this guy was the life of the party. That's what I'm hearing. But
it was a RA at college that did that.
Really?
Sophomore year, yeah. I knew the guy personally. He's getting upskirt shots.
Yvonne Walsh was working on the dock of the Forno Lodge to check people for glass and alcohol. So basically what Nick and I did in Investigators Club on tailgates. Well, not to check them for alcohol, because you can have alcohol, just not in bottles or glass bottles. She stated that she remembers Scott coming down that evening and hitting on the girls as they arrived, and someone telling him to back off. She remembers that he was carrying a bottle with him, which she told him that he had to take back to his boat or discard it. By the way, fun fact, he just chugged the bottle in front of her and then threw the bottle away.
So did you guys see that video of the dude who stuck a straw in like a little fucking pocket bottle of rum and just downed it in one shot?
Oh yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, there's this like weird.
I never knew that was a thing. And
Yeah,
man, I kind of want to try that.
You can take like a straw, pop it in, and then pop the other end out so it has like airflow. It's really weird, but yeah, you can like
and it like makes it so much smoother. But the thing is, like, your next breath is just gonna be like pure ethanol.
Just remember, Red Bull gives you wings, moonshine gives you redneck four-wheel drive.
God, I like, again, part of me wants to try that, but the other part of me is like, wow, that's gonna be a horrible time.
Try what you're talking about or what I'm talking about? Because if you
what I'm talking about.
Okay, I was like, no one should do what I'm talking about. That man chugged the entire mason jar of pure moonshine and then just almost passed out like 10 seconds later.
That's wild. God.
Also, I know this seems like a lot of weird random facts that I'm throwing at you, but it's going to start all getting pieced together here in a second.
We'll see.
Yeah, maybe not.
How big was the bottle? And what was it?
In the so the documentary was one of those ones that have like the live action reenactment parts. In that, it was like a literal bottle, but it was like a quarter full by the time he got to the dock.
Oh.
So.
What was it?
I have no idea. It was a documentary, so they clearly had that.
Where is this?
Out. New Zealand.
New Zealand? What the fuck do Kiwis drink? What's the Kiwi drink of choice? Don't laugh. That's what they're actually called.
Oh, let's effort this. What is the most popular?
Why do I feel like it's like rum? It's probably rum.
New Zealand. Why is it when I type in New Zealand wasn't the next thing? New America was what came up. Beer. It accounts for 63% of their alcohol sales.
Okay, so it's the second one.
New Zealand fucking pumping it. New Zealand is ranked 21st in beer consumption per capita in the world.
Nice. That's a very small country.
To be 21st, nonetheless, out of the 200 and something countries?
Yeah. I think it's like 205.
I don't know what the other one is. It doesn't say. I think wine. It might be wine.
I feel like their spirit of choice has got to be like rum.
Yeah, I'll look up spirit to see.
Or maybe vodka. I feel like vodka wouldn't be surprising. It could be some type of like weird indigenous grain alcohol. Beer, mead.
Oh, these aren't
liquor.
It's vodka, apparently.
Vodka? Yeah, that adds up. I mean, they can probably make it out of kiwis.
I don't think so. I don't think that's how it works.
No.
I feel like it's something they can do.
I don't think
so. What are botanicals? You know, like vodkas that are like infused with botanical. What the fuck's a botanical?
Isn't
that like a flower?
Yeah, it's flowers.
It's a garden.
Yeah, it's like supposed to be very like flowery and.
Isn't it like roses and shit?
Yeah.
It's so weird. Why do I call it like rose infused vodka? Why does it gotta be botanicals?
That's called rosé vodka.
While inside of the bar, Scott was talking to a group of women, one of them being named Mary. He was noted making backhanded comments to women about their breasts and bodies. During his interview, this is while he was
on the front hand.
During his interview, this is like while he's in prison. He mentions that he did do this, but he definitely was not the only drunk male doing this that night in the bar. At one point, he knocked over Mary's drink and cigarettes, and once she bent over to pick them up, he proceeded to bend down with her and then grabbed and groped her breasts. Her friends then grabbed her, and they all left Scott and left out to go outside of the bar.
So when you say that, here's what I envision. Like she bent down, and then he went to the ground like a Navy SEAL, like Sam Fisher, and was like on his back doing it.
No, he bent over her, reached under her, and
So
Oh.
did the boobies.
Like a
At
wrap
least-
around.
At least that's what they did.
like
No,
like a
It was-
like a spooning position.
It was a reach around. Got it. Okay. Some people pay for that.
That's called a standing spoon, Nick.
Is it?
I
It
think
is
that's
now.
accurate.
No, it's
Standing spoon. Okay.
As the night approached midnight, there were approximately 1,600 people present at Furneaux Lodge. A few hours after midnight, Ben and Olivia left with a group of their friends to head back to their boat to sleep. Once they got to the boat, they realized their boat was overloaded with freeloaders. So, I think we'll get into this a little bit later, but I'm going to show you guys this part now. Just this, since it's New Zealand, everyone who was here came on a boat. This is like a huge thing they do because it's summer for them right now. So like they're very outdoorsy right now and stuff. They take their boats and like anchor them in this bay, and then they like take dinghies and ferries and water taxis and stuff like to the shore. Gareth Vincent said that the group left them on the boat to grab their gear as they went back to drop off more people, but that boat never came back. Also, I like how none of you guys commented on the fact that they came on a boat and when they come back, they can't sleep on their own boat because there's freeloaders on it. I thought that was going to be a point that we were definitely going to hit on.
No, because that's something we would do.
Yeah, but like if in America, if like you came back to your boat and there's freeloaders on it, all those freeloaders would be dead floating around your goddamn boat in the morning.
I mean, I would
That's
just walk up to them, grab them by the scruff and by the crotch, and throw them. Because I
So-
don't want to bring a gun onto a boat because I feel like I would sink the boat. So
That's not how boats.
These aren't like
dinghy.
these aren't like kayaks and canoes.
you know, if the Titanic can sink from a block of ice, I can shoot a hole.
That
through
block
the
of
boat.
ice was fucking humongous.
Was bigger than the Titanic. Also, this is definitely going to be something that. When was this?
97 and 98.
Okay, then my rant was about to be completely irrelevant. I
Nick
won't
was
go
just
into it.
born.
I was.
Wow, useless.
Yeah, 97 worst year ever.
Around the time that they had gotten back to their boat is the time that Scott was at the lodge, and people were stating that he was extremely drunk and obnoxious, telling people he owned a yacht that was anchored in the bay. This will come back because this is the conspiracy part, is the yacht. But
If you owned the yacht,
the yacht is the conspiracy, one of the conspiracies we'll get to near the end.
I told you boats aren't real. I was right.
True. Oliver Perkins said that Scott was making fun of his necklace and calling him a girl. He then started asking him if he had a sister and if she was around in the bar.
I mean, that he's just
This
trying
is
to be-
all this.
No, he's
this
just
is-
trying to be friendly. He's making sure, hey, you got that necklace? The joke I was gonna make is gonna be in poor taste.
Nah,
so we're
'cause
gonna
then-
move on to the fact that he's just trying to make conversation and see.
Oh, yeah.
Because then he like makes fun of his sister, and then the guy tells him that she died 2 years earlier of cancer, and that was actually true.
That's hot.
I feel like we've all done this at some point. We've all been this guy.
Well, yeah, at some point we've all made jokes to find out that we have made the
Not
worst
okay.
possible
Yeah.
joke.
We went down the one path that didn't work.
Yeah. I do that daily.
I mean, one of those situations, hey, you got a sister? Yeah. Is she really fucking hot? She's dead. Well, then that should have been also up there in the yes, I have a sister part of the answer.
Scott then left the bar and returned to his boat to continue the party with people that were on the boat and the boats around him. But all those people were trying to sleep. At this point, Scott's boat was tied off to two other boats. and his was the boat in the middle. This is key because this comes back to the whole entire investigation. A witness from one of the boats tied to Scott stated that after Scott had talked to him, asking him to continue the party, he then returned to his own boat. In court, this witness said he heard only one set of footsteps during this time, which would lead you to believe that obviously he didn't have Ben and Olivia because they would have heard multiple footsteps. During this time, one of the bartenders, Guy Wallace, was asked by a couple if he could drive them to their boat, and he said yes. As they walked to the water taxi, the mystery man from earlier in the bar asked him if he had a lighter. Guy then walked with the couple past him into the dock, told him no. Ben and Olivia were having a hard time finding a place to sleep, and Olivia was becoming upset as she had paid for a spot on the boat and most of the others hadn't. But Ben also had not paid for a spot, so they decided to try to find somewhere else to sleep. So at this time, Guy Wallace is taking a couple to a water taxi that also is on this boat that Ben and Olivia are on. But at this time, Ben and Olivia are on that boat trying to get off. This is where everything kind of starts to converge. Already at the water taxi was a couple, one of which was Olivia's sister, Amelia. There was also another couple that ended up on the water taxi as it left. But before they left, the mystery man arrived and asked if they had room for one more, and then got onto the water taxi. Once at the Tamarack, which is the boat that Ben and Olivia were staying on. Amelia
Spice.
Tamarack?
Shitty turmeric joke.
I got that, but it's not a spice. Turmeric is. Tamarack isn't.
Okay.
Amelia and one of the males got off the boat and got aboard. After they boarded, Ben and Olivia took their spot on the water taxi to try to find another place to stay. As they started away from the Tamarack, Ben and Olivia started to ask Guy Wallace if there was anywhere they could stay, and the mystery man spoke up saying Olivia could stay on his boat, but Ben couldn't, as in like the, hey, you can stay with me, but he can't. Haha. Funny yoke. Guy then ended up dropping off Ben and Olivia at the mystery man's boat after the mystery man had actually said it was fine for them to stay on his boat. This is where police state that man was Scott Watson, but Guy has already said in court that in fact the man he dropped off was not Scott.
There's so many names, I'm kind of confused.
Scott Watson, super drunk dude that was at the bar hitting on a bunch of women being obnoxious. Ben and Olivia are the two people who disappear.
Okay.
Guy Wallace is the bartender, one of the bartenders.
Okay.
He's also the guy who's driving this water taxi because he was asked.
Okay.
Mystery man was the guy at the bar looking up people's skirts.
Okay.
And that's really it. Well, Olivia's sister, but she's plays a different role.
Dead. No, not dead.
No, she's alive.
Who's got the dead sister?
Amelia has the dead sister. Olivia and Ben are the ones that disappear.
Gotcha. Okay.
Guy stated that the boat he dropped them off at was white at the top with a colored stripe he couldn't remember, and then white again. None of the witnesses on the water taxi could remember the color of the stripe, which makes sense because this is 3 a.m. The mystery man was also described in court as having wavy shoulder-length hair. Amelia in court was handed a montage of photos of men and was told to point at any of them with similar hair features. She pointed at a man with a slight receding hairline point, and that man was not Scott Watson.
Oh.
This is where everything just starts to fucking go all sorts of different routes. A special detective named Pope joined and took over the case on the 5th of January and immediately had Scott as his main suspect, but was not sure why.
Wait, what? Hold up. That's not how that works.
Buddy, we are about to enter page 3 of the 5 pages of notes that I took, and that's not even talking about the conspiracies at the end that we're probably going to dive into.
How does one get a lead suspect, but not know how that's your lead suspect?
Well, we're going to get into why this is stupid. Pope said it was because of Scott's form and his agenda, while Scott says it's because he had a criminal record.
But what the fuck does that mean, form an agenda?
I think form means like
body type,
yeah, the body type, the way he acted,
his
and
profile matched.
yeah. Watson at this time had 48 criminal convictions at the time, mainly from when he was a teenager, for burglary, theft, cannabis offenses, 2 counts of possessing an offensive weapon, and 1 of assault when he was 16. What are you doing, Nick? You looking up what if someone's form means?
No, I'm looking up what the hell agenda. I'm looking up agenda.
Agenda? Like what he wanted that night?
Yeah.
I feel like you should definitely have that. It's like motive.
Okay.
Because he was being creepy.
His
that
motive.
night.
Taking upskirt shots?
No. Scott, mystery. That man is mystery man. Guy taking upskirt looks is mystery man.
Okay.
Scott Watson is the guy who gets convicted.
Okay. Oh, okay. I guess.
Just remember, Ben, Olivia are victims. Scott is the perpetrator.
Okay.
That's really the only ones you have to remember. When Scott was brought in for questioning, they had asked him what he did after the festivities, and he replied that he went back to his boat alone. They asked how, and he said the same jetty Ben and Olivia had used but he left at 2 a.m. and not 3:15 like they had. After saying this, they started asking and demanding him to tell him where the couple was and what he did to them. On the 3rd, they put out that they were looking for a 2-masted ketch that was white with a blue stripe. By the 6th, they had many calls about this ketch, and on the 8th, Pope had Scott's single-masted sloop pulled out of the water. So a ketch, like, I don't know exactly what they mean, but basically 2-masted, so 2 poles for sails.
Yeah.
Is what they had dropped Ben and Olivia off on. Scott's boat has 1 sail. And it's
How did he get convicted?
Buddy, we're going down this route, man. We're on the very beginning of page 3. We got stuff to go through.
God damn it.
Oh.
This is chocolate. I'm having a piece of chocolate now.
Understand, of course.
Speaking of chocolate, I should have some chocolate.
We have a lot of chocolate.
I do.
Once they had the boat, they also decided to talk to Scott's sister, Sandy. They then proceeded to grill her for 9 hours straight. She asked for a lawyer, and when they left, they locked her in the room by herself. Technically, the door is always like locked when you have someone in an interrogation room if you leave, and like you leave them by themselves, or there's at least someone like posted outside. So, but the fact that she asked for a lawyer and they just left her, but they also were like, hey, can we ask you questions, and then reamed her for 9 hours, kind of really fuck shit up.
I mean, that's shitty, but isn't that completely legal?
I don't in New Zealand. I mean, yes, but like in New Zealand, if you have someone, well, she wasn't in custody, but technically she could have got up and left at any point.
So New Zealand has the same common law as the U.S. because both countries are Anglican in legal history and legal origins. Like we all follow Anglican law, but I don't know of New Zealand. Like they don't have a First Amendment, so technically you can be jailed for talking shit about the New Zealand government and the Prime Minister. I think people have been. They don't have. They probably don't have anything. I don't know what the New Zealand Constitution is, so who the fuck knows? Who knows if they have a Bill of Rights? They probably don't have like a Fifth Amendment, which is
your right to attorney.
Right to attorney, habeas corpus.
Yeah. Well, from the sounds of it, they do have a right to an attorney. From the way she was talking about it in the documentary. Yeah, no, that part was like super weird. Just why ask someone to come in like so you can question them, and then just ream them for 9 hours and to get nothing. I don't get it. I don't know. On the 14th, the police told
For the
the
record, New Zealand does have a Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a right not to be tortured. Right to not
most people
be-
do.
Right to not be subjected to medical and scientific experiments. Right to refuse medical treatment. You do have your good old freedom of thought, religion, expression, peaceful assembly, search and arrest, unreasonable search and seizure, liberty of the person, rights of the persons arrested or detained, right of persons charged, minimum standards of criminal procedure, retroactive penalties. Okay, right to justice. So, for the record, I'm not going to read the New Zealand Bill of Rights, but this looks very copy and paste Anglican.
Yeah,
common
it
law.
looks a lot like ours.
Yeah, it looks a lot like ours. Looks a lot like Britain. Looks a lot like Australia. If I remember my criminal history correctly, like the two predominating criminal codes are like Anglican and French. And French is just weird. Like the French criminal common law is just odd.
On the 14th, the police told the community they were now focusing the investigation primarily on the sloop. When the Watsons got lawyers, they were told by the lawyers that the police were not their friends and not to talk to the media. Chris Watson, who is the father of Scott, said it became trial by media, but the media was already being led.
That's most
Which will
trials by media.
When I get into it, this one is so fucking not okay. Like, it's really bad. From January until Scott was arrested in June, the police said they had no suspects and that Scott was just a witness. But this led the media to link Scott Watson to the couple, and that was what they is what they ran with. So basically, from this time, just because Scott Watson was like the only person that they gave a name to the media took his name and just like followed his life and just ran him into the ground and said like everything that he was doing, basically like what he was doing and stuff, and like why, like they just literally.
That's why you shouldn't. That's
Yeah.
why most departments don't give any type of information to anyone because cool. Channel 2 is going to say innocent until proven guilty. Guess who's not going to say that? TMZ. TMZ is going to crucify you. They've done that just so many times.
This is also why in America you can do change of venue and stuff like that. It's because your like local media will like ruin your image, but you can then do a different venue because hopefully those people haven't heard shit from February through May.
February?
Yeah, February through May, the Watsons family house was bugged because they can do that. They knew it too. Warrant? Yeah, they got a warrant through the courts and stuff. Like it was legal for them to bug it, but it was still like not.
Really, dude?
Yeah. They received approximately 20 hours of recording, and 7 hours of that was Scott. During the trial, they played approximately 20 minutes of conversation that Scott had with his ex-girlfriend, where she asked him about that night, and he said he got pissed, left to his boat, slept, and then left in the morning. Also in the recordings the police had were conversations the family had about Pope and the police about how much they hate him, wanted him to die, and how much it would have cost for a hitman to kill him. None of this.
Whoa, what?
These people are really stupid. You know that your house is bugged. Like,
was this like a wealthy family? Like, were they educated or?
Not really.
No.
They're not like wealthy. I don't know how educated they were, but like they weren't wealthy by any means. It seemed like. But also, I don't know how the share like their classes work in New Zealand. They might all be I don't think there's a huge lower class in New Zealand. I feel like they can
Why
spread
don't
their
we
wealth.
look?
So none of this was in court, but the police took it seriously, and some believe it was why Pope went so hard on them. The police also did multiple searches of the house throughout this time. They would literally just show up at 7 a.m., tell them like they didn't want to disturb the kids, and then would just search the house, even though the kids are like
That's disturbing the kids.
yeah.
That literally disturbs the kids.
At one point, there was a man that went around to the neighbors of the Watsons and told them that they had to stop supporting the Watsons because Scott had committed the crime, and this happened well before his arrest. Yeah, this whole case is like really botched because like
clearly
the neighbors were actually like in this documentary, like they interviewed them in the documentary.
Insane.
Like, this is so botched that if this case was a circumcision, I can't say that right now.
Circumcision.
If this case is so botched that if it was a circumcision,
Just finish
they would still have a foreskin.
We have our blooper boys.
It wasn't supposed to be a great joke, but it
became a good one.
It was getting there.
15% of the New Zealand population is in poverty.
The police seemed to go away from the catch altogether, even though there were many witnesses and accounts of the catch in the area, and many of them were credible. Pope told the media that they did not disregard any of the tips that they had received about the catch, which is bullshit because I'll get into it, but there's like 13 people who are in court to talk about this catch and that they had seen it. So a catch is basically a yacht to us, but it's like it's not like as big and as like.
How do you spell catch? Sorry,
it's Ketch, I believe. They're not like these big elaborate luxury boats. They're more of like sailing boats that are like more. They just look way nicer and they're like bigger, basically. So this is going to be one of the first credible witnesses. There was an older couple who had seen the catch during the day and gave an almost perfect exact description of the catch, and it matched the description that Guy Wallace had given about where he had dropped off Ben and Olivia. The catch is a 40-foot long boat with a white with a blue stripe with big brass circular portholes on the side. And then it has 2 masts with hemp rope. There were 9 other sightings of this catch near the lodge that night with all the same description. There were also sightings of the boat the following days in different areas as it was leaving. So clearly there's a lot of fucking people that saw it. But basically everyone was really everyone was so focused on it because it was so immaculate to them. It was so perfect, super clean, looked brand new, painted, big brass expensive portholes on it, and hemp the hemp rope was tied in a very fancy way. So apparently it was just everyone who saw it literally circled around it with their own boat to look at it.
I wish I had a boat.
On the 2nd of January, there was a charter boat with a group of 12 people on it who saw this catch. On the deck, there was a man, and sitting on the back, there was a male and a blonde woman. During the trial, the witnesses said that Olivia had red hair, except for Mr. Walsh, who was one of the people on this boat, who believed she had blonde. Later, after the trial, a video surfaced of Olivia and Ben at the lodge that night, and Olivia's hair was blonde. Mr. Walsh then said, "I almost guarantee that day that we saw Olivia and Ben on that catch." Because the description of the dude was literally a dude, a guy with brown hair that was unkept and scruffy beard and facial hair and stuff. So mystery man with Ben and Olivia, literally 12 witnesses. No one fucking did a damn thing about it.
That makes sense.
This isn't surprising though. Jeff, you and I know enough about eyewitness statements to know how unreliable and how useless they are.
Yeah, but
but you also know that people will still, because we know that experienced like detectives and stuff are more likely to almost ignore it. Granted, if there's 50 people who saw something, it happened.
Well, this is 12 people on one boat and then 9 other sightings. Like, the reason the police gave up on the catch is by the time they decided to stick with the boat being a sloop, they had no time or resources to fully investigate everything about the catch. The witnesses said that when the police interviewed them, that they were already no longer interested in the catch. They basically told them, like, we don't, like, they would listen to them and then be like, we don't care. Like, we're not on that anymore. They even told some people that they told people that they did not see this catch and that it was not a real thing. In his first interview with police on January 3rd, before the relationship between Wallace and the police broke out, police asked him to draw the yacht. In the sketch in his story, Wallace writes the words 30 to 40 foot catch. They're confused because they don't think he saw the catch. They think that he dropped them off with Scott Watson on the, like, because his boat was tied up to 2 other boats. So they think that Guy saw 2 masts, but they think that he saw them like in the darkness where like the one closest to him, and then he saw like the mast from a boat behind it, and then immediately thought it was 2 boats, or like 1 boat with 2 masts. Except that fucking Scott Watson's boat is nowhere near the length of 30 to 40 feet.
So, as someone who knows nothing about boats,
do you know something about hose?
I know nothing about hose. I also know quite a bit about alcohol. Oh God, my chest. Oh God, I feel my sternum feels like it's just caved in. I need to go to a chiropractor.
Do you remember what you were saying?
Yeah, as someone who knows quite a bit about alcohol and nothing about boats, and also nothing about hose, I feel like if I saw a boat behind another boat, I might possibly mistake it as 1 boat, especially at 3 a.m. after going on a bender.
Well, Guy wasn't drunk; he was the bartender.
Oh well, then, and he thought it was 1 boat.
As
we don't know, that's the thing, is the police are telling him that that's what he saw.
He saw. My God, I hate New Zealand police.
Oh, buddy, we're gonna get into that in the conspiracy part after this.
Oh my God.
That indicates that on January 3rd, he wasn't sure if it was a catch or not. He drew 2 masts on the yacht, one taller than the other. Wallace recalled seeing 2 masts, but he wasn't sure or couldn't remember whether they were both on the same yacht or if it was the second mast belonged to the adjacent yacht in the raft. So crucially, on January 3rd, Wallace drew a yacht, but wasn't sure if it was a catch or a sloop. He describes it as being blue and white with portholes and lots of ropes. Scott Watson's boat doesn't have ropes. The police, while interviewing Guy Wallace, told him that if it was so beautiful, why did none of the other taxi drivers see it? While in actuality, 2 of the other fucking taxi drivers recall seeing it. So the police literally just lied to him. There was a rumor later that Guy and Scott were drinking buddies, but like stated, this was a rumor, and that was started by someone else for the media. The police then went on to tell Guy Wallace that no one else had seen the mystery man. The police appeared to be trying to pin it on Guy Wallace for a significant portion of this. But so basically their 2 suspects were Guy Wallace and Scott Watson. Guy Wallace was the last person to see them alive when he dropped them off. In April, the police had shown Guy a montage of 8 men, and one of them was Scott Watson. All the other men looked like Scott. The photo of Scott was a poorly taken photo with bad lighting, and Scott was blinking in the photo. Guy picked out Scott, but said the only thing that looked familiar were the eyes, but that it was not the mystery man that he had seen. Literally, they took a photo with Guy blinking, or not guy, Scott blinking, and in the photo he is literally like almost eyes fully shut, and Guy Wallace picks it out because he's like, oh, these eyes look familiar, but literally nothing else about this man looks at all like the guy that I saw. And the police were like, boom, same eyes, we're going. This is it, we got it.
I hate everything about this.
The police said that the entire inside hard surfaces of Scott's sloop had been wiped down, when in actuality only 30% of the inside surfaces of his boat were wiped down. A thing they bring up in the documentary, I don't know about you, but if I can commit a murder of 2 people inside of my tiny boat, I'm probably wiping down every surface to get rid of evidence.
I'm burning the boat if I commit murder on
Not
the boat.
I'm not gonna like wipe down my counters and my cabinets.
Did you well, here's one of the good things about committing murder on a boat. You can sink the boat. You can't sink your house.
I mean, you can
Can't
sink the
You
boat, but
hold on.
You
You
can't
don't know that.
yeah, if you live in
you
California, sinkholes are very common.
you can't sink the alley in which you just stabbed a guy for $20. But you know what you can do?
Sink a boat.
You can sink a boat.
I mean, first of all, Nick,
I've never tried to.
Nick,
I'm
you
assuming it's
said-
not hard.
You said someone would stab someone for $20, but do you really know what someone would do for a Klondike bar?
Sink a boat. Am I right? Did I get it right? Did I win? There were also scratches on the hatch that led down to the inside of his boat that they said were from Olivia trying to get out. The scratches were actually from Sandy's kids from before Christmas. This is actually caught on a conversation on the phone, I believe, where his ex questions him why there were scratches on the hatches, and he literally says that he was like super pissed off because Sandy's kids had scratched the shit out of the hatch, and his parents said it, and his neighbors also said it, because like he was super pissed when he got home that day because they had scratched up the inside of his boat.
I mean, same.
So this is where the key piece of evidence comes in that actually gets Scott arrested. There was a blanket that came off Scott's boat that had 2 blonde hairs on it and were likely Olivia's.
Did they not check?
It's 97. They didn't have forensic testing that could do that. I highly doubt they did.
There was a person who checked over 400 hairs that were on the blanket, with a large majority of them being dark colored and different lengths. The first time they checked these hairs, nothing was found. She came back to it months later and found nothing again. And this was in her report. But not long after this, she checked again and found 2 blonde hairs, one 15 centimeters long and another 25 centimeters long.
Oh, how convenient.
When the hair was examined, it was 28,000 times more likely to be Olivia's hair than anyone else's. But that still wasn't the highest number that examiners have to match hair by.
So if I remember my forensic history correctly, I'm pretty sure before they had DNA testing for hair, and also side note, DNA testing on the hair requires there to be a root on the hair because there's small traces of blood there, which is where they get the DNA from. Like if you cut your hair halfway through, there's no DNA on that. However, there are striations, kind of like bullets. Like if you've ever watched like Forensic Files or like CSI, and they make striations on a bullet, it's kind of the same thing on hair, and they can do that. But like with length and thickness and shit like that. But the fact that they found 2 hairs the third time they checked, and only 2 hairs, just 2 hair, just 2 hairs.
But you haven't got to how they possibly got there.
I'm about to get angry, aren't I?
Oh yeah. Apparently that day, the examiner had looked at the sample bag of Olivia's hairs from her bedroom on the same table that she used on that day to check the hairs from the blanket from Scott's boat. the bag of Olivia's hairs, which was also shown in court, had a 2-centimeter hole in the bottom right-hand corner of it. This was also brought up in court, but ignored. This is the only thing that they had hard evidence, quote unquote, hard evidence of being able to get him to go to prison for.
Is everyone in New Zealand just walking around like what, drunk, belligerent on a boat playing with a kiwi? Like, is that it? Just eating kiwis, playing with kiwi birds, like with the fucking little dodo looking ass birds? Like, was that all they're doing? Do they not? Did fucking Socrates like skip New Zealand when he thought about critical thought? Is that like just a ghost
Nick,
zone?
Nick, let me get you more angry. So
God,
not only
how
this,
did I get more angry?
so this is what he got put in prison for. So, but the way they explained that this happened was the 2-trip theory of where, yes, he did in fact get dropped off at 2 a.m. and they were picked up at 3:15 a.m. But they think he was dropped off at his boat and then grabbed a dinghy or a canoe from someone else, went back, got Ben and Olivia, and brought them back to his boat. And then
So it wasn't even his dinghy.
hold
It wasn't
on.
even his dinghy. Oh, I'm about to get so angry. I'm about to get
And
so
then,
angry.
but
Oh my
also,
God.
but then he somehow got his boat, which was the middle tide boat in a boat of 3, untied, tied the other 2 boats together, and left.
So what they're saying is he's Santa Claus,
Yeah, he's
and
magical.
he got Rudolph to give him a ride to the other boats to get a dinghy, to get another dinghy, and then like he pulled an Indiana Jones. Fucking.
Well, the other 2 boats.
I'm gonna swap out my boat with the sleigh.
Well,
I'm
the other
angry.
2
I'm
boats
angry.
had dinghies, but the thing is,
Oh, yes,
so you
because
know
I'm
what?
sure that's what they do. They put the dinghies, the way they escape if the boat starts sinking, in the middle. I'm sure they'd place them in the middle so that way he could get to the dinghies easily. But you know what he wouldn't be able to do? Get out. Because you know what? It's in the middle. So what they're saying is, so basically he's literally Sam Fisher. He stealthed his way off his boat onto another person's boat, across that person's boat, untied, dropped their dinghy, and then he went off, came back with them, got 2 people who were probably belligerent drunk quietly across one person's other boat, back onto his boat, retied the dinghy, and then sailed away on his boat, which was in the middle of 3.
No, he has to untie. You forgot the fact that he also has to untie his boat and then move his boat out, anchor it again, and then tie their boats together.
Question. What's the student's name again?
Scott Watson.
Scott Watson. Is there by chance he was in the military? No. So there's no chance he had fucking SAS training. Anzac SAS training?
No.
Nope. No. Okay, cool. Is there any chance that he changed his name from Jason Bourne?
No.
So there's no way he could have done this.
You
What
want
if
to know?
Cool.
his real name was Scott Calvin, which makes him the Santa Claus?
What?
Scott Calvin is Santa and the Santa
Yeah,
Claus.
it's Tim Scott. It's not Tim Scott. Tim Scott's
Tim
senator. Tim Allen.
Allen.
Oh, so another wonderful.
I'm angry. By
Not-
the way,
not-
in case you couldn't tell.
Another not great thing is their bodies were never found to this day. Their bodies had never been
Have they
found.
checked the water?
Yes.
Did they?
I mean,
I don't know how
the
much of it. Well, the thing
I was
is,
there, like, the amount of stupid shit that they've done, the likelihood that they didn't check the water is high.
well, the thing is
Did-
this is New Zealand. They're island country. Like this inlet, like the bay I showed you, when you come out of the bay, just goes to the open ocean. So
Is there a chance that they are under the map, no clipping?
I was wondering if maybe
Is that
they,
an option?
I was wondering if maybe
Are
like,
they exploiting a bug? Maybe they're waiting for the zone to close in.
I'm wondering like I don't think it's true, but like I'm wondering if like maybe they like took this chance to like run away and like just wipe off the face of the earth.
What did they have motive to do this?
No. But what if they did?
Okay.
See, it sounds like Jeff is using the same practices as New Zealand police. So
Honestly, yeah, right?
But
I see no fault in this.
yeah, but mine gets no one arrested. Mine just
I
also
think
doesn't have an investigation. Mine is just
yours also doesn't rely on Scott being Sam Fisher.
Well, the fun thing is there's a theory that this catch just never existed. And that because no one's ever seen it since. But like Nick said, you can sink boats.
Yeah. I like how this entire theory revolves on Scott literally being a ninja. Literally being a ninja. He has been trained by Batman in the League of Assassins in order to fucking I am so angry right now.
No,
Hey,
so
do they have juries in New Zealand?
I don't know. I think so.
Do
But I'm not
they have a
100%.
trial by
They
peers?
had clips of the trial in this, and while watching it, I just wanted to fucking snap my own neck. It was awful. Because I could tell when the prosecutor was asking questions, he wanted to kill himself.
The prosecutor.
He's like, "We're not getting away with this," and then at the end, he's like, "We just put away an innocent man. I'm leaving. Goodbye." But
I like to picture that while he was questioning the detective just goes, and yeah, so he did all this, and then he put the boat back in the middle of the two, and then just like a solid 10 seconds of the prosecutor just staring at him, just open mouth, like, just looks at the judge. I got nothing. I got nothing.
So Scott has tried to obviously appeal this like so many times, and every time it's gotten shot down or like he doesn't get his verdict. He's currently in for life, but he's been trying to appeal his parole, but people like they just keep denying it. There's quite a few people who think he was wrongly convicted, but he just this year actually he put up for another appeal, and I haven't seen anything about it since, and it's something that I would like to actually come back and look at, but I tried looking it up, but it doesn't appear that they've gone actually back to appeal it yet. It sounds like he just put his appeal in. Yeah, so there's a huge thing that conspiracies, the mystery man, people think like he just did, like people think he existed and just left. A lot of people think like he wasn't, like he's not even from New Zealand type of a thing. The catch, people, there's, if you go on YouTube and type in like the Scott Watson catch, there are literally conspiracy videos about like if it was there or not, and there's like so many rabbit holes you can go down with this. It's fucking stupidly insane.
I used to realize something.
A huge reason, so this,
so I used to realize something. So what if they were able to steal a boat, and their boat, like the catch that they were supposedly on, they sailed it? And here's the thing, though. New Zealand is I don't know if you knew this, right next to the Great Drop Off because the Earth is flat. What if they got lost in their drunken stupor and just sailed off? Come sail away, come sail away.
shut the fuck up. I'm trying to wrap this shit up.
Wait, does anyone else appreciate how Nick tried singing a song that he was not on key or on right note for at all?
How about you kindly
So yeah, there's that. There's the catch isn't real. People think that like don't even know if like they're actually dead because no bodies have been found. There's a lot of super crazy shit. So the reason that I think Scott Watson is probably wrongly convicted, there have been multiple, and I mean multiple cases of very like extreme cases, like murder in New Zealand since like I think the 90s to like 2005 or something, that people were released because they were wrongly convicted because of police like coercion. People just like the police just told witnesses what they saw, like threatened them and shit like that. Apparently there's a huge problem there. I don't know if it's still there, but there was a huge problem in the early 2000s with New Zealand police being corrupt.
It's fucking wild.
And I think that's one of the huge thing, like why he's like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, he didn't do it, but like that's why I think there's a chance that maybe they should really, really go back and look at this. And also, there's a point in the documentary where they talk about it, but Pope ends up getting promoted after this to a pretty high position. So there's a lot of weird things and like political bullshit playing in it. And I think they just didn't have any actual suspects. And Scott was just an easy person to like, yeah, he was there. He was drunk and belligerent. A lot of people saw him. He has a boat. This works.
Stupid.
It is stupid.
See
I
no
don't know.
fault.
I hope that there's a way to go back and really look into it because I feel like there might be a wrongly convicted man here. I mean, I tried to look at it both ways because I felt like this documentary was like, it wasn't completely unbiased. It did seem to be more in Scott's favor, but also the fact that just the things that were said and like brought up, it's like the amount of witnesses that they had in the documentary that they interviewed. They're the first people that got to actually interview Scott in prison since he was arrested and like put in prison. So I was like, I don't know. I also looked up stuff like from the actual investigation, and anywhere I looked, the only pieces of evidence they had were the fucking hairs. And then I saw that, and I read it in like a couple articles that yeah, like there was a cut in the bag while they were in court, and like they had shown that there was like a cut in the bag and stuff. I was just like, this is fucking stupid. Why is this a thing? Like, because in America, the thing is like, oh, like there was a cut in the bag, that immediately like dismisses that evidence, and like
Yeah,
like
that's
your jury will, I would hope, probably with if
no.
this
The
was
judge would just throw out the case. The judge just throws out the case.
because like in America, if this happened, like yeah, the judge would throw out the case, or the jury just would not convict you because
That's reasonable doubt.
It's the only physical evidence they have, and there is doubt about it. Like,
Yeah.
you have no way of actually putting this person in jail.
If your attorney's any even halfway decent, he files for a motion to dismiss the case because there's no hard evidence. There's nothing else there, and even the hairs themselves are circumstantial. Even if there wasn't a hole in the bag, the hairs are circumstantial.
Yeah.
The argument could be made that the hairs got on his shirt and then he slept in the bed with that shirt on, and then the hairs get there. Like that can be explained away. That's circumstantial.
Yeah. It's all fucking wild.
Also, the forensic tech would get fired like on the spot.
Oh, immediately, yeah.
Because they lose their credibility. And you can't have forensics without credibility because that literally destroys everything.
Well, everyone, I hope you had a wonderful time trying to wrap your head around this bullshittery. If you really want to,
angry.
If you really want to look into it, definitely look up Doubt. It's on YouTube. That's where I watched it. It goes into this really well.
If you're from New Zealand and want to contact us and explain this shit to us, that'd be cool too.
Truth. Maybe we can.
Playing your funky ass legal system.
Maybe it'll all change our opinion, but yeah, this was Drunken Jurors by You Hate to See It. If you would like to follow us on social media, you can find us anywhere at You Hate to See It. On Twitter, you can find us at YOUH82CIT. And you can also find us on Podbean. So you go on to Podbean, then you type in "You Hate to See It," and then once you're there, if you look up the top right-hand corner, there's a fun button where you can hit become a patron. And there are different tiers where you get different fun, cool shit from us. There's a $1 tier, there's a $3 tier. I think there's a $5 above that, and then it just keeps going up and up and up. And if you like to use your money on people like us, then I mean, we greatly appreciate it at any tier. Outside of that, you guys got anything you want to add?
If you missed our Taskmaster live stream this past weekend, starting January 3rd, it will be available at our $1 level on our Podbean.
Hails you, brother. Nick, you got anything you want to put in?
Always remember during the Christmas season and into this new year, professionals have standards. But I also need you to remember, yeah, Santa definitely has standards. But just want you to know, we don't.
Truth. Adam. Take
If you ever listen to this podcast and for an inkling of a second,
That's it. That was it. If you
Uh,
ever listen to this podcast,
you believe that you have exceeded us in terms of greatness, you are highly mistaken, because the simple matter is we are better than you, and we will always be better than you. But we do love you as